welcome to Doctor's Notes. This episode is going to be about the origins of both my Snapshot AU, which is my animatic series on YouTube, and my Featherweight AU, which is my fanfiction on AO3 and Wattpad. So that's what I'll be talking about. And once again, I've just put the mic stand, the boom thing, I've stuck it somewhere random. Right now it's in a movie theater popcorn bucket thing that's full of stuff, and so I just stuck it in there. And before we start, I was very happy about the response on the first episode. I'm very glad that you guys like it. My voice sounds a bit raspy in my head. I don't know what's up. But yeah, I'm very happy about the response of it, and I'm excited to continue it. I don't know why that was a question. I'm recording this the day before it's supposed to go out because, I've been busy. Quote unquote busy. I've just been doing other stuff. But yeah. Anyways, how do I start? I don't know, how did I start last time? I just kind of jumped into it. Alright, I guess I'll jump into it. Not too hard, because I sprained my ankle yesterday. I was coming off of a stepladder and I stepped wrong. Boop. Ouchie. Anyways, so let's start with the one that came first, which is the Snapshot AU. And, I should have done my own research. I should have done research on it. On my own thing? Yeah. Let me just, pull up. Can I do that without... Alright, so I'm gonna pull up the thing real quick on my channel so I can see, because I should have written down these dates or whatever, but I didn't. So the first Snapshot AU animatic came out on, it came out 7 months ago. And... okay, so it came out May 29th, 2020. When I clicked on the video, it stopped my recording, so I had a little brief panic that, oh man, I would have to record the intro again, but no, I don't. Anyways, so May 29th, 2020, and then there's a couple of ones before that. There's the A Sadness Runs Through Him one, which I'll get to later when I'm talking about Featherweight. Then there's the there's the Mind Electric one. I don't know why I said a Mind Electric. And then there's actually also the one before that, which was the Cradles thingy. Not really an animation meme because it wasn't really animated. Alright, so before I jump into how I got the inspiration and stuff to start Snapshot AU, I'm going to actually start with my history with Hermitcraft. So this would be in 2019. My brother would be playing on the computer and watching YouTube, and he would have his headphones unplugged, so the audio of the video would be playing, and I would be sitting at the laptop with my drawing tablet plugged in, and so I'm drawing, and I just am hearing these videos he's watching. He's watching all these Minecraft videos, and I didn't know anything about these at the time, because I didn't really know what Hermitcraft was, and he was only watching Grian during season 6, and so I had heard a lot of Grian videos, as well as some Corrales. That was another one I heard quite a few videos of while drawing, and I kind of picked up some information, I guess through osmosis or whatever, and I remember, let me think. So I remember doing a drawing of a bunch of Hermitcraft people and some other Minecraft YouTubers, and that was a drawing I was actually working on. I was doing a redraw of it, because I posted the original on January 1st, 2020, and so I think it was January something, 2021, I was doing a stream, and I was drawing a redraw of it. I never actually finished that. Oh man, I should. Anyways, and it was just a joke drawing. Not joke, but it was just it was really quick, not quick, but I had done like the doodle sketches of it in the car. We were like going up to the mountains, and I didn't have good reference pictures for like any of the people, so that's why the designs are whack. So don't bully me about that. And so I took that drawing, I digitalized it, and I posted it. And it got way more likes than any of my previous drawings I had posted on Instagram had. At DoctorSiren Art, if you wanna, drop a follow. It like got like I think like 400 something, whereas my previous ones had only gotten around 100, and that made me mad. Looking back on it, I was kind of like weird, but it made me very mad because I was like, okay, but I don't really care about these Minecraft YouTubers like really at all. This was just like like these are just like doodles, whereas like the other stuff I had worked on like for a few hours like only got 100 compared to that. And so that made me really mad, and it was my most liked post for a good number of months. So like I think until like March or something. Yeah, it was March, definitely. I think. It was definitely, I think. I don't know. But I think this drawing of Spinel I did surpassed it, and that made me very happy. I don't know, I was just so mad this drawing I had done like was my most popular one. It's so weird. And I remember when season 6 for Green for everyone was ending, I did a drawing of him, and I am so ashamed to say that I did it just for the clout, because I was like, people really like this Hermitcraft thing. I need the likes. And so I posted this like drawing, and I was like, all right, give me the clout. But like, yeah, so I feel really bad about that now, because it's like, that's it's the only thing I draw now. And then I was like, okay, so then all the whole, all like where everyone has to stay home. I'm not sure like if I can say words and not get or I'll get demonetized. Like, I'm not even sure. I haven't read up on that. Anyways, where everyone has to stay inside. So I'm there, and for the first bit of it, I was really into like OKKO, which is really good. DuckTales, which I talked about last week. Star vs. the Forces of Evil. That was like, I was really into that before the whole thing started. Like that was like my thing. I was really into that and OKKO. And then I was getting back into the Naruto fandom, because I've been in it since the game came out. One of my best friends introduced it to me, and she also taught me like how to like draw. She's great. And so I was like doing like those drawings. I was really into Steven Universe as well, and so I was like talking about all that stuff. That was like what my main thing was. And I was talking a lot to my friend Pixel, PixelFun20, the author of the Coding Conundrum on AO3, which you should definitely check out. And also, she also did the planning for parts 8 and, was it 9? 8 and 9 for Snapshot. She had those plans since like July. Yeah, I'll get to that. Anyways, so I'm talking a lot about Steven Universe, and she doesn't know that much about Steven Universe, but I would also complain to her about, oh man, why is this drawing my most liked one, like the Hermitcraft one? And I think if I remember correctly, it was that plus a combination of other things she had seen that like got her interested in like, what is Hermitcraft? And so she like got into the fandom, or she got into it, and then she was telling me about it. I'm like, oh, okay, like I don't know much about like Hermitcraft, and you don't know much about Steven Universe, but we still like kind of talk to each other about things, and I didn't like understand it at all. But then she said something, and this thing is like the thing that started it all. She DMs me on Instagram one day, and she's like, hey, did you know that like some people just like see like NPC Green kind of like as Spinel? And I was like, oh, who's this NPC Green person? Who is this Grain character? Who's this NPC Green person? Like, I don't understand. So she starts explaining like the brief like a brief like summary of it. I'm like, oh, this is really cool. And he is like Spinel, because like he's waiting like in the cabinet man. He's waiting in the closet, and he's just like he's just like got trapped in there. And like Green's like, I'll be back, and then he was never back. And I took that idea and I like ran with it. So I'm trying to remember, but I don't remember if it was the same day or if it was the next day, but I started drawing up like this really quick thing. So I did the cradles thing, which I did in a day, and then I did like I synced it and all that the next day, because I don't know. So I just remember doing that, and I posted it that day. And I was like really excited. I was like, oh, this is really cool. I'm happy about this. This looks really nice, especially the glitching part. It looks really nice. And then I don't remember if it was like during that same week, I don't know if it's the same week, but I was looking for songs that would fit NPC Green, and I found The Mind Electric by Miracle Musical, also known as, Tally Hall and stuff. And so I was like, ooh, this is really good. And I also know about Robot Green. Actually, the timeline is kind of whack, because I'm not sure like how much time there was between. I mean, I could just check the posting dates. Let me check that. All right, I just checked it. Yeah, there was a 4-day period in between the Cradles and the animation thingy and the Mind Electric one. So it was May 15th, 2020 and May 19th, 2020. Wow, that was actually less time than I thought it was. Anyways, so during like those 4 days, I found the Mind Electric, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. I also know about Robot Green, because I think Pixel told me about that as well. And I was like, I'm gonna make an animatic. I had never, up to that point, I had never made a full animatic. I had always like started them. I had a number of them I had started, but I didn't like have like a program or anything to finish them on, and I never like had the motivation. But this one, I was like, all right. So I planned it out on paper first, and I still have like those first like storyboard sketch things. So I planned it out on paper first, and then I used Procreate, and I used the animation assist feature to like make the different frames and stuff. And I did that in like a day. I did that entire animatic in a day, and I think I synced that one the next day as well. And then I posted that one, and I remember like in my mind the characterization of Robot NPC. Robot was like the one like hated Green a lot, which obviously it's true. And he was like, if you were to think about like quote unquote the older, not older, but like the more mature of the two, of like NPC and Robot. And also I draw him taller than Green, because Green like he made Robot Green taller in my head. My headcanon is that he like made him taller than him, because he's like the better Green or whatever. And then NPC was baby. He was baby, and he was shorter than Green, because Green had left him for 4 years, and people grow in that time. I know like I don't think adults get taller, but shh, I said so. Also, it's funny because his height is so inconsistent during SSAU. And anyways, so whoopsie. I also related, but not too specifically the Mind Electric, but just related to the topic in general. NPC, in my headcanon, or like in my AUs and stuff, NPC and Robot both represent parts of Green in like his past that like he like built these things and then put them away so that he wouldn't have to deal with those parts of himself anymore. Like NPC was like the one that was super focused on like rustic type builds and stuff, and sort of incessant and annoying, and like and then Robot was it was his like overly competitive side, and like his just like I guess sort of like bad side or whatever. And so he thought, oh, if I can make these things and put them away, then I won't have to deal with those parts of myself anymore, which obviously didn't work. And anyway, so I made the Mind Electric one, and then I was looking for more songs because I was like, oh, I really, really like this, and I heard Cabinet Man, and I was so excited because I heard that song, and then like the next like day I was, I think, cleaning the kitchen or something, and I put it on my iPod, my iPod Shuffle, and I was listening to it, and I was like dancing and acting out the thing like I had done with the Mind Electric one. I think I also had been cleaning the kitchen when I like thought of like how that would go down. But I started like just like doing like sort of like acting out like the animatic as I was cleaning the kitchen, and I got so excited. I was like, okay, so I finished cleaning the kitchen. I ran upstairs and I started work on it because I was like, oh, this is so good. And I didn't plan that one out on paper at all. The next time I would do that wouldn't be until like part 7. So I was so excited. So I started that one. Well, actually, I skipped a Sadness Runs Through Him. I'll get back to that one later, but this is because I'm talking about Snapshot right now, and that one relates to Featherweight. So I started that and I made this animatic, and I was like, okay, because I at that point when I made the first one, it wasn't going to be like this series at all. It was just like this one-off, and so I made this animatic, and I was like, oh, I'm really happy about this, and so I posted it, and it got a really good response. People really liked this. They were like, 1, Lemon Demon, 2, Hermitcraft, 3, NPC Green, like this guy that everyone thought everyone else forgot about. And they're like, oh, good, you didn't forget about him. Plot twist, I had just found out about him. And I wasn't really into a lot of the other Hermitcraft stuff, except like I knew about like Grumbot, and I knew of like Mumbo. I knew of like these people, but I didn't know much about them. So like their designs are a bit off, and that's what I was trying to say. Those just become like their SSAU designs, except for Bizuma, who originally had like an actual like the bee head sort of mask for his thing, but then in part 2 I changed it and gave him like the normal Doom helmet sort of thing, like that kind of visor for on his mask, so I could show more emotions, like so I could show it like his eyes and stuff. And so when I made part 1, I don't remember where someone suggested this, but I do remember someone suggested this. They said, you should make a part 2 using Touch Tone Telephone by Lemon Demon. And I was like, oh. So I listened to the song, I was like, oh, this is really good, this would work really well. And so I consulted Pixel, and I was like, hey, who would be who? And she was like, okay, I think Zuzuma would be the one looking for like being suspicious. And my brain, since I didn't really know much about like any other characters, the only ones I really knew about were Mumbo and Green. I was like, no, in my brain I was like, it should be Mumbo. And then Pixel was like, here, it should be Zuma, and this is why. And I was like, oh, that's a good idea. This is why we consult other people. And then I was like, all right, then who should be helping him? Or no, I don't remember if I was thinking that Mumbo should be the person helping him, or if it should be just him. But I also remember that when I was like, who should the song be like addressing, like talking to? In my brain I was like, maybe Mumbo, because like, you know, like it's like Green's best friend, he deserves to know. But she was like, how about Joe? He's been on the server since season 1, and like he's friends with Suzuma. And so I was like, all right, I don't know much about this dude. So I did that. Also, I did his hair like the exact opposite of like what his actual hair is. He's got like a fringe thing. I did like a sticking up sort of thing, like I do with like Doc and B-Dubs and Etho. And I was like, this is his hair now. So I did that. Also, NPC Green is afraid of bees because he doesn't know what bees are, because he was trapped during that update on Minecraft. And that's also why he's glitching, because he's outdated. He's got outdated hardware. Yeah. He doesn't that's why he was afraid of bees. And so I did part 2, and then I had, you know, Zuzuma get faded, just he got snapped. Yeah, he got snapped, that's the term. He got snapped and such. And I was like, all right, I should do another part. And I wanted like a duo, because I know Joe and Cleo are like best friends on the server, and I want them to fight against NPC. And so I was asking people for like duo songs, and I settled on No Matter What from the Steven Universe movie. And so I did that one. I made that one in like 3 days, I think. Like, people were like, bro, chill, slow down. And I was like, I'm making stuff though. And also, so since I didn't really know like anything about like these characters, I was just kind of making up their characters based on the few pieces of information I knew. That's why Joe, like, he's using a diamond sword, because I was like, diamond sword strong. I had no idea that, like, his thing was like no diamonds. Like, I did not know about that. Yeah, so there's that. And so then they fight NPC, and then she gets turned into Robo Cleo. Yeah, Cleo gets turned into Robo Cleo. And I don't. Yeah, wait. Yeah. Anyways, so when I did that, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this thing where I'm gonna split up these people into teams and stuff. And so we have the Closet Boys, which is Zuma, Grian, and Joe now. And then Robo Cleo. And the thing was, like, Joe wasn't shown in, like, in the closet until part 4.5. And people were like, where is he? Because in part 4 it doesn't show it at all. It just shows the NPC side. And so then I don't remember if someone suggested Baby Hotline or if I heard it, but anyways, I heard Baby Hotline, and I was like, I don't know, I was looking for a part for part 4, and I was like this close to like writing a song because I couldn't find a good song for it. The original song I was going to use was Artificial Heart by what's his name? I'm blanking right now. He's the guy who did the Portal music. What's his name? His name is Jonathan Colton. Yeah, that's his name. Anyways, so Artificial Heart by Jonathan Colton, and I really love that song still. And that was the originally that was what it was going to be. That was the song. And that song actually really fits Featherweight now, but I'll get to that. And I was like, okay, it's too short. There's not enough like time to do stuff. And so then Baby Hotline came around, and I was like, all right, I'll use this song. And I didn't really know like what I was gonna do. I just had like a brief idea, so I was working on that, and so I made that. And it was during the summer at this point. And so I did that one, and it shows that like when the NPCs are not near NPC Grian, then they like they're not really under his control. Like they can like actually think their own thoughts and feel their own feelings. So like when Mumbot is not near NPC, he's like, oh no, everything's wrong. Grian is gone. Is he dead? Because he doesn't know the status of like his friends that have disappeared, like Joe, Zuma, Grian. Like, where are they? And then Drumbot, who he looks like a little tiny Grumbot, because I actually didn't know that Drumbot looked different. So Drumbot runs in, he's like, don't cry, I still love you, which I've used that same thing twice or 3 times, because it's in Snapshot, and it's in twice in Featherweight, because there's like the scene where like Grian punches the mirror, and then Drumbot's like, hey, don't cry. And then there's the scene where Mumbo wakes up after the explosion. He's a cyborg, and that part is the biggest parallel of that to Snapshot, because he just became a robot, and he's like, oh no, and it's like, don't cry, I still love you. It's like, all right. So I did the exact thing that was on purpose. Why did I say it like that? Purpose. That was on purpose. Yes. So part 4, I think, is the most confusing one. Like a lot of people were saying I don't understand what's going on, and I like type an explanation, but it'll be much more clear like when I actually get around to writing the fanfiction version of Snapshot, once I finish the animatics and all that. And then part 5, which currently remains the hardest one I've had to make. Like the other ones are fine. I think, yeah, part 10's most definitely gonna beat it, because it's got legit like everyone in it. Like not even like, it literally has everyone in it. Everyone is here. Everyone's here. The gang's all here. So part 5, Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger. I was like, oh, this is a bop. And so it's robotic and stuff, so I was doing that. So that's where like I just needed to get rid of that. And there was a ton of planning behind that one. There's this giant whiteboard we had like near a dining table, and I was like planning out, literally counting the beats and stuff, planning out stuff. And I'm so glad that there was like there happens to just be like the right amount of like hermits and other characters. I was like, whew. And so things go down. All the NPCs have like their own powers, which has been sort of shown throughout the series. Like Mumbot, he's got like the zappy electricity thing. RoboCleo can like summon and use armor stands as like mannequin things, which was inspired by the Adventure Zone during the Suffering Games. Is that what it was? The Suffering Games? Yeah. With like Lydia and Edward, like in the mannequin things. So that's that. Let's see. What other Etho has E dash though, so Etho has he has like Naruto things. I don't watch Naruto, but when in part 5 he's got like that magic ninja magic. I'm so sorry to any Naruto fans. Cry, I am so sorry. He's got like the magic thingy, and so he had that already before he was an NPC, but now he has that. So he also already could teleport, because NPC Green can teleport, and he can fly, but I forgot about that fact, and so he doesn't do it at all. So I don't think that's like part of no. Yeah, I'm giving it to him because it's from Green, so he can fly, but he doesn't ever use it, and he can teleport, and do a little boogie. That he's got boogie powers. You can boogie. And so like everyone's got like different powers and such. And so like part 5, Jelly gets turned instead of Scar, because I was like, okay, we'll need Scar for later. And so Scar runs and they create the rebellion, which is Stress, Doc, Wells, and Scar. And Scar's like super sad. He's like, my cat, what the heck, man? And then there was part 6. No, part 5.5. Yeah, part 5.5, which was my own original song. It was Last Chance, and there's a part where like people, or like where the NPCs, or like where the rebellion is what's the word? Is like it's like this, it has them on like 4 squares or whatever, and like it blacks out in a specific order, and that order was the order that they get like turned or taken or whatever in the next few parts. And some people noticed that before, they're like, oh, I think that's important. Some people noticed that after, and we're like, oh, that's a cool touch, yeah. So there is that. And in that one, that's when he finds that's when NPC finds Stress and Wells. And then part 6, which I think at the beginning of it, okay, I think it's the one I don't like the most. So it's Pitiful Children. That one, like the beginning of it, I don't like the style of how the beginning of it looks, but like once like the middle and the end of the song, like everything that's not the beginning, the style of the art actually looks nice to me, because I don't know, I just didn't like how the beginning of that one looked. So then we get Stressbot and Hell's Droid. And to clear up a little bit of things, so in this AU, when Wells gets angry, he kind of like becomes the Hulk, but no, it's Hell's. And so NPC made him mad on purpose so he could get the stronger of the two of them. And then he turned that one into an NPC. But Wells, because it's Wells's body, but Hell's consciousness. And so technically Wells is still an NPC. And for Wells now, like he sees the things, like he's sort of like a ghost consciousness floating. Like we can't see him, but he's like, Hell's like hears his voice in his mind, and like when he's near NPC, like the hold is not as strong on him because he's just a consciousness. But when they're not near NPC, of course, like both of them have free range to just talk and like actually think their own thoughts and such. Anyways, that's part 6, and then part 7, it's Finale, or We Can't Wait to See What You'll Do Next by AJR, and there was like a month-long gap, I think, in between them, but in between 6 and 7, but I love that one. I am so proud of it. I had planned it all out on paper beforehand, and that really helped. And so I did that. And so I planned it all on paper, and I made it in like a few days. Like, I was very happy with how it turned out. So and then everyone's like, "Oh no, is it the ending?" I had to put 3 times that no, it's not the ending. It's just the name of the song. And that's when like the NPCs are like, "Hey, look at this. You're wonderful. We can't wait to see like what you're going to do now because we want you. You're our leader." And NPC's like, "What? It all happened so fast. It's gone too far. It's farther than I wanted it to go. I didn't mean for it to all turn out like this." But they're asking me to lead. So they ask him, like, they're like, "You're our mayor," and he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to be in this position of power because this isn't what he wanted at all. But they're making him, and he's like, "I can't do anything about it." And so they make him like the mayor. And then part 8, which was planned out by Pixel. In that one, there's outfits. People get their normal outfits back. There's a bit of a change for Mumbots and such, but NPC continues to wear the Mumbo for Mayor shirt because it's supposed to like represent how he doesn't want to be in power. He still wants someone else someone he trusts still, just like Mumbo, to be in power because he doesn't feel like he is fit for this position. So that's why he still wears it. And that one was which one was that? Was that Survive the Night? My Mando pony? Yeah. That's Survive the Night. Yeah? Yeah. And that one I planned out I did on paper as well. And yeah, so I'm trying to remember. I haven't like watched that one in a while. But that's where like NPC comes to like Scar and Doc's like hideout and is like, "Knock knock, it's me." And so he has like people like go in and like fight and such. And there's a part where Scar like blows up so that like he could like basically sacrifices himself so like, just so, like they can get like, you know, Cleo out of there. And he did die. Like, he died. It wasn't a dream. He respawned. And some people thought it was real because in Galactic I written JK, it was all a dream, JK. But I think I put JL instead of JK, but like people were like, "Oh, it was all a dream. That wasn't real." That was real. That did happen. He did die. And which is shown in the next part when Doc is like killed over and over and over and over and over again. But no, Scar, like he respawned. And so then like people show up and wait, what part is this? I'm trying to think of like what part where it ends at. Oh, I know where it ends. So it ends so NPC gets there and then they're fighting and oh no, Cubfax bonks Scar's like bonk. And so he's like green. This is after Doc finishes his thing to blow up the button game, because in this universe it still exists because Grumbot never took it out. Like, that was never, like, he never got rid of it. So it still existed and it was a source of power. So Doc blows it up with like, he makes this like button control remote thingy. Plot convenient like device. Anyways, so he blows it up and Green realizes, NPC Green's like, "Oh, I can't do it anymore." No, what did you do? You've ruined everything. Because also in the back of his mind, he's thinking, now I can't fix it. I can't go back now. Whoops. And so he tells Cub to just manually take Scar to imprison him. And he's like, "But Doc, I don't need the gauntlet to turn people into an NPC either. So I can modify you, dude." And so that's like where it ends and such. And then the next one was The Show Must Go On, also by Mando Pony. There was a drawing I had done of that, of like one of the things where like at the beginning where Mumbot and iOS Scal are like standing and they're like, with her like fists up or whatever. I'd done that like little doodle back in like July, and I accidentally showed it on a live stream for like a few seconds, and then the theory team, especially Sin, she was like, dude, like iOS Scout, like real Pog, what? And it was, and I was trying so hard to deny it. I was like, no, it was a sketch that wasn't like NPC. That was before NPC. That was before part 5. So at that point, iOS Scout didn't exist, and I was like, no, that there's no NPC is Scout. But then I made there obviously was. I knew there was gonna be. Then I made part 5. But anyways, part 9. That's where they're experimenting on Doc, and I'm so proud of that one too. It looks so nice. Like it was right after I think Procreate added like all of like these effects and stuff, and so I used that, and it looks so nice. And I made it in like 3 days. Parts 7, 8, and 9, I made like one a week for 3 weeks. Not sure how I did that. And they were like the best looking ones. They all look so good. But now when they get Doc to be on their side, now he's bot M. And then Cub takes Scar to the closet, but then Scar outsmarts him and he bonks him, and then Scar lets out the closet gang. So is that, and then there's part 9.5, which is the most current one, and that is another original song. It's called All Real, and that's basically the closet gang like running, trying to escape, trying to like get to another hideout. And Zuma gives Grian his Doom armor, not the turtle Zuma. No, it's just his normal Doom armor. And someone was like, how does it fit him? It's big. And I was like, it's Minecraft armor. One size fits all. I feel like I've said this before, but I'm not sure if it was on like the podcast or not. And so he gets that. And also, like, there's like bloodstains on his face. Those are supposed to like be like a parallel to the metal plating on NPCs, like face and body, like his arms and stuff. It's supposed to be basically like a parallel to that, because it's like they're in the exact same places and such. But yeah, so there's that. So like what started from a single comment of saying, hey, NPC Grian's like Spinel, like it created this whole thing, and like this entire like community, and it's so crazy because like, bro, whoa, that, I don't know, it's just so cool to me, and it just makes me very happy that this thing I'm working on is just like this like really cool thingy. Thingy. Yeah, I don't know what I was gonna say, but yeah, so there's that Snapshot. It's been around for like seven months now, and I'm very excited. For the 1-year anniversary of the Mind Electric one, I'm gonna redo it. I'm gonna redo that one. Yeah, that's basically, yeah. So now let's talk about, I feel like there's stuff I'm forgetting, but whatever. But now let's just talk about like the origins of Featherweight. So, if you've ever seen the Karma animatic for And the Universe Shifts, then yeah, I don't know why I started like by saying if you've ever seen, no. That's just that. So inspiration came from that. I have never read And the Universe Shifts. I've read 2 chapters of it, and then I never finished it, and I don't think I will, just because I have my, and I also have never watched Evo, but I want to at one point. At some point I will, but I have my own like lore and stuff for like the Watchers and such, based off of lore that Pixel has for her fanfiction. Anyways, so I watched the animatic, and that also was like a really helpful thing for getting me really into the fandom, because Pixel showed that to me and she was like, look at this, and I was like, ooh, and that became like my favorite song for a while. Still is my favorite ones, and so I would like watch it a lot, and I was like, this is really good. I don't understand it, but this is good, because that was like when I was first joining the fandom. And the thing, because I didn't understand like what was going on, but I remember coming up with like a story or whatever, like this like concept of like, based off of that, I got inspired by that. It was like Grian has like wings, or like he gets wings, and he hides them at first, and he's like, I don't know what to do with these. But then Mumbo is like, hey, you should you should be fine with them. Like it's not bad. But then like Green gets all cocky and stuff. He's like, haha. And then like his wings start, like he's flying one day because Mumbo's like, hey, don't fly nonstop. You're gonna like damage your wings. But then he doesn't listen, of course. And then so Green's like wings start like falling apart when he's flying one time, and he falls like into the water, and Mumbo has to save him. So that was like the idea I had. And then I've known the song "A Sadness Runs Through Him" for a good number of years now because of this Gravity Falls animatic I had seen. And so I was like, oh, this is a good song. And I didn't really have like a plan for it. I didn't have a plan, and I also didn't like have like a story of like why he was sad. I'm just like, yeah, he's sad. And it was loosely based off of the story concept I had come up with. Because I had done this little doodle. It was like green, and his like wings are like falling apart, and it said Icarus on it. And so so what am I saying? So there's so I made this like animatic, and I was like, he's just sad because he is. I don't know what the story is behind it, but the whole thing of him falling into the water, that was because like the wings falling apart, like it's supposed to be like his elytra breaking. So Mumbo also has wings because whoopsie, I just hit a pen on a keyboard. He also has wings because in that universe, the elytras just look like wings, and also technically in the Featherweight universe as well because it's mentioned, like that's mentioned. And anyways, so he saves him, and then but then Green like brushes him off. He's like, no, I go, leave, bye. And what I'm most proud of it for that one was like the flying scene where they're like flying after each other. That was cool. I'm proud of that. And like I don't know, like, exactly. I don't know why he was mad, but he was. But that actually was like based off of my that was loosely based off of my story idea, like which was the original concept of Featherweight. And I remember it was June 30th or 29th, I don't know, but I was writing, and I was like, I'm gonna start writing a fan fiction like Pixel, because Pixel inspired me, and I was like, I have this story idea, I want to start writing this. And so I did. So I started writing it, and I got like 3 chapters out on like a night, and then I posted them. And I was like, I don't know where this is going. I have no idea, like, because it was like loosely based off of, so it was inspired by the Karma animatic, and like also loosely based off of like the animatic I made and this original concept idea for it. And so the original story, like there was so much that was not gonna like that wasn't originally part of it. For example, like just thinking about the first few chapters, like the whole so the twins, those weren't a thing. They weren't a thing. Like the entire concept of like the Robo Kids, those weren't like part of the original idea, like the original like rough concept of Featherweight. And you can see by looking at this like rough outline, you can see like there are parts that are definitely in the story, like the part where he becomes like super cocky. He's like, look at me, I'm great. That was the whole Poultry Man thing. That's how I integrated that in the original bit. So they have a fight, and like which was like the argument and such. So that was like basically was like from the original rough concept. And because in the first rough concept, he wasn't turning into a bird, he just had wings. And I decided, oh, he should not like birds, but funny, haha, Poultry Man, you know, because so that dream he had in the first few chapters, where like he had like a beak and stuff, that was supposed to be like, oh, like the thing is, that wasn't supposed to be like, oh, it's an actual beak. No, like it was actually his like a superhero costume, but he didn't know it because he thought it was real. And it's not like it's not obvious. Like I didn't make it obvious like at all. Like if you read it, there's no hint that it's not real, but it's supposed to be like that. It's supposed to be that, you know. And so like all this stuff, and a lot of things came along the way, like the twins, Sahara, the whole like story arc stuff of like Alex and Zuzuma and like Doom and all that. And like the powers of Thunderbird. The Thunderbird stuff I got from Hilda. It's based off of like Hilda and stuff, which I haven't seen season 2 because I don't have Netflix anymore, but I'll see it someday. But yeah, it's based off of what's his name? I don't remember his name, like Raven or something. From Hilda, and so I took it from that. Also Zapdos. No, I'm kidding. I also didn't know that much about TARDIS, but I knew that. Well, I knew some of it. And anyways, so Elena also came later. She originally wasn't like a thing. Same with Natalie. And then Sunshine. And a lot of the stuff like came as people like would suggest things, and then the dads go. I created the dads go chat, and then like, they're really cool, great people, love them. And through them, like there was all these ideas that wouldn't exist in Featherweight. Like without them, those things wouldn't exist. Like legit, if I didn't have like basically like these people like consult with about the story, it would not be like what it is. Like there's a lot of things I never would have thought of. But hey, that's what it is now. And we've been planning Clockwork, or not Clockwork specifically with that name, but like Villain Mumbo since like months before it actually happened. And originally he was going to have like an Iron Man type suit, and originally he wasn't going to like he was gonna he wasn't gonna blow up and then go crazy. He was just like gonna decide, yeah, I'm gonna be a bad guy. But I wanted to make him, I don't know. But then he was gonna be like, oh, he would like accidentally like cut off his hand and be like, robot time. I feel like I've already talked about this. Anyways, basically there's just this rough concept and it became this thing. And currently it's the highest viewed fic on the Hermitcraft tag on AO3, and it's second place for kudos. Under the In the Universe Shifts. But yeah, like it's crazy. And I've used Featherweight twice, like during writing assignments in class. The first time was last week. We're learning about like story elements and such, because I'm in this like multimedia video graphic design class that also has an English class in it. I've got 3 teachers for that class. It's an English teacher, a video teacher, and a graphic design teacher. And so my English teacher we have an assignment, like we were doing like the elements of like plot and story and such, and so we had to write like a fairy tale. And I couldn't think of anything, and so I just took Featherweight and condensed it down a lot, and I made it more like the original concept of it, except instead of him just being like all like haha and cocky and stuff, he was like actually a superhero in this version. But I knew for a fact that my video teacher was aware of Mumbo, because I had told him about his video channel, like his film channel, like a couple of months before that, and I was like, you should check it out, and he's like, oh, I definitely will, I'm gonna do that right now. So that was like, I don't know if he actually did, but I like to think he did. and so I was like, okay, at least one of my teachers is aware that, so I can't call them Mumbo and Grian, so I called them Oliver and Charlie, which are the actual YouTubers' names, but they're also in Featherweight. Those are their middle names. And so I use those names, and I like, so it wouldn't, my teacher wouldn't be like, this is Minecraft YouTuber fan fiction. Which she knows I write fan fiction. I remember the first day of class, I said something about that, because on like the Zoom chat or whatever, I was like, yeah, I write fan fiction. She was like, that's really cool, because like all 3 of them are total nerds. Like they're so cool. They're like cool. Like my English teacher plays like D&D. My video teacher, he loves like Star Wars and such. They're all really cool. Anyways, and so I had this really condensed version, and I made this version its own AU. So there's a lot of AUs of Featherweight AU, and then AUs of the Snapshot AU. They're just like, what if it went this direction? But this AU, which I call a fairy tale Featherweight, it's this version of Featherweight where like things are kind of the same, but also off. Like, Mumbo, he isn't named Mumbo, like, he's like Oliver and Charlie, and they look sort of different. They look more fantasy fairy tale-ish, kind of like that. They live in this sort of generic fantasy fairy tale village, which is supposed to be like the Hermitcraft server and such. TARDIS isn't in the story, because the thing was supposed to be like it was like 1 to 2 pages, or like 2 some pages. I wrote like 4, and I was like, oh no. So I couldn't like add other stuff to make it longer, so because it was already too long. So TARDIS doesn't exist in the story. Neither do the Robo Kids. His name isn't Poultryman. He's just a masked winged hero. And yeah, so there's like very condensed version, and so there's that. And then today we were analyzing methods of characterization, and we had to write a short 1-page scene of like that actively used 2 methods of characterization. And here, actually, I'm gonna read it to you if I can pull it up quick enough. Maybe you'll recognize it. This is the thing that I wrote for class today. So let's see if you recognize it. Charlie felt a pain searing into his body as he tossed and turned in bed. Okay, just actually, no, preface. Just a little preface. The suggestion for the scene was characters having trouble falling asleep. So I took that and ran. Let's continue. Had he fallen? Had he gotten hurt and forgotten, and now bruises were causing this? He didn't think so. Whatever it was, it made it very hard to fall asleep. He sat up in his dark room and turned to his alarm clock, which read 3:27 a.m. All right, no need to get up now, Charlie thought. I'll just try to fall asleep. Again. The boy turned over to try and sleep, but was instantly reminded of what was keeping him awake in the first place. His back. Why did it hurt so much? He groaned and sat up, pulling his red shirt off as he did. He stretched a bit and set his dirty, blonde-haired head in his hands, breathing in deep. He tried to force his eyes to stay open, but it was difficult. Whatever, he thought. Charlie reached his hand behind his back, trying to feel for the sore spots. But rather than feel bruised skin, the boy felt something else. It felt like feathers. Confused and tired, Charlie jumped out of his bed and stumbled into the bathroom. A flick of the light switch revealed what he had felt. Protruding from his shoulder blades were a pair of tiny, purpley feathered wings. He gasped, almost choking on his own spit. Panic started to set in. How did this happen? Why was this happening? His head dropped as he started to drift asleep, despite the adrenaline rush he felt. He knew he couldn't focus on this for much longer at the moment. Oliver might know what to do, but he would have to deal with it in the morning. He stepped back over to his bed, falling onto it. Without even bothering to put his shirt back on, Charlie slowly pulled himself up to his pillow and covered himself with the red comforter. The pain he had felt minutes before wasn't nearly as bad now, and the comforter was warm. His eyelids grew heavier and heavier until he finally drifted off into a dreamless sleep. Get it? Because he's Dreamslayer? No, anyways. So yeah, I literally used the first scene from Featherweight. I added a few description things, changed a few things. So instead of him waking up, it was him like having a hard time falling asleep. And I literally just used that, and that was like my thing. I like typed it up word for word at first, and then I went and changed it. So let me read you the Featherweight version, the original version, and you can just see the differences. He felt a pain searing into his body. Had he fallen? Had he gotten hurt now the bruises were causing this? He didn't think so. Whatever it was, it made it very hard to sleep. He woke up and it was dark. He turned to his alarm clock, which read 3:27 a.m. All right, no need to get up now. I'll just go back to sleep. The man turned over to go back to sleep and was instantly reminded of what woke him up in the first place. His back. Why did it hurt so much? He groaned and sat up, pulling off his shirt as he did. He stretched a bit and set his head in his hands, breathing in deep. He tried to force his eyes to stay open, but they refused. Whatever, he thought. He reached his hand behind his back, trying to feel for the sore spots. But then rather than feel bruised skin, the man felt something else. It felt like feathers. Confused and tired, he jumped out of his bed and stumbled into his bathroom. A flick of the light switch revealed what he had felt. Protruding from his shoulder blades were a pair of tiny, purpley feathered wings. He gasped, almost choking on his own spit. Panic started to set in. How did this happen? Why was this happening? His head dropped as he started to drift back off to sleep. He would have to deal with this in the morning. He stepped back over to his bed, falling onto it. without even bothering to put his shirt back on, he slowly pulled himself up to his pillow and covered himself with the red comforter. He was asleep almost instantly. So that's the actual Featherweight version. It's less detailed and such because it was the first time I was doing that, but also it's more detailed for the school one because I needed to make it more detailed. And yeah, so it's really funny. And it's so funny because my teacher is going to think, she's going to think about the fairy tale version I wrote, the fairy tale thing I wrote, and then she's going to think about this because it's the same plot and such, and she's going to be like, oh, she wrote a scene, Sam wrote a scene from the fairy tale she wrote last week. That'd be really funny if that's what happened. And yeah, I've also drawn Hermitcraft stuff for like projects. We had to do Inktober, and I did all of them in like the last day, but they were all were they almost all? They were almost all Hermitcraft. And we had to like explain like our 3 favorite ones, and I was like, yeah, it says Iskal, Grian, and Mumbo, they're best friends in the Hermitcraft server, a Minecraft thing. It was so funny. I was just talking about that. But yeah, I feel like there's a lot of stuff I was going to talk about that I missed, but like words getting jumbled and all that. Mumbled, jumbled. But yeah, so that's it for the Snapshot Featherweight Origins thing. I still feel like there was more, but yeah. Now just time to talk about random things for a few minutes and such. So, what was I gonna say? I don't know what I was gonna say. I got a MIDI keyboard, and I've actually been learning the Mind Electric on piano. I can't, okay, it's pretty hard, and there's the part where it's, the bit from Labyrinth, which is Miracle Musical, like the ending bit, talking about the surfs and all that. I don't want to like sing it because I still don't know how like sensitive copyright stuff is. But I've learned the right hand and the left hand for that. My keyboard, my MIDI one, is smaller than my not MIDI keyboard, and that one it is also not big enough to fit the entirety of both hands, like, or entirety of the left hand, because it plays like 2 octaves at once. But you know, I make do with what I have. I have an actual piano, but it's downstairs and like it's like loud and such. Not the best for like learning or practicing things that I'm playing over and over and over again. And so I make do with like the available notes. Anyways, and so I can do both hands for that part separately, but not together. Like the timing gets all weird. I'm like, I can't, bruh. But I, using like BandLab, this like this free music program thing, which is really cool. I was able to like record, like using my MIDI keyboard, record like the left hand bits and then the right hand, and then also like the higher octave for the right hand, because at one point plays 2 octaves at once as well. And so yeah, so I'm learning the Mind Electric. That's what I was doing this week. I also, last Friday I watched the first 2 episodes, the only ones that are out, of WandaVision. And I'm not gonna say spoilers really, but oh dude, it's so good. Like, I was talking with my film teacher about it on Tuesday, and I was like, oh, it's so good. Like, it's so well done. Like the editing and such, and the filming such for like that era of like the television, because each episode's like a different decade. So like the 50s and the 60s were the first 2 episodes, and the costumes are amazing, and they fit so well. The acting fits so well with like those sitcoms of those times that it's doing sort of a parody of. Just, it's so like well edited as well, and it's like one of the comic arcs that I actually know, because it's like one of the only ones I've actually read, like the whole House of M thing, and I got really excited about that. And I did a drawing of Vision, like his like human disguise, and Wanda, and like in like the 50s like outfits and stuff. And dude, it's so good. I can't wait for the next episode, dude. I'm hyped about that. Like I'm a really big Marvel fan. Like, it was my main fandom in at the end of freshman year and like the entirety of sophomore year. And then I got into like, you know, I was at Hamilton, into Hermitcraft and stuff, so that's been my main fandom now. But I'm still like super into it. My favorite is Spider-Man, obviously. I love him, he's great. All spider people, like Spider-Verse is my favorite movie literally ever. All-time favorite movie. It's so good. And the animation is exquisite. It's so amazing. Get it? Haha, it's spectacular. Haha, funny. But I love it so much. And like just spider characters, those people. Yeah. It's just like some of my like they're my favorite superheroes there. Also Squirrel Girl. I love Squirrel Girl. Yes, please, Doreen Green. Yes. So yeah, and I think that's basically all I want to talk about this week. Yeah, I need to catch up on Hermitcraft. Basically, that's it for this week. So, down below there'll be my links for my socials for Instagram, which is at DoctorSiren Art, YouTube, which I don't know why I said that because my YouTube is what you're watching this on. It's the only place this thing is on, unless you're one of my patrons. Ooh, what a smooth segue. I almost said gateway. What a smooth segue right into that. Because patrons actually get these episodes a day before. They're gonna be getting it a little later today, the day I'm recording it, because I was gonna do it yesterday, but then I ran out of time and I also forgot. Yeah, it's not even that hard to edit. I just put this like filter thing over. Anyways, my Patreon, which will be down below, and patrons of any tier get these episodes before, and they also get my other videos a day before as well. So there's that. Because it supports me and it's really cool. Liking, commenting, and sharing does a lot for the algorithm. Subscribing, if you aren't subscribed, that really helps as well. Yeah. And there's also my Redbubble down below. Basically, I think that's everything. And yeah, so put like suggestions in the comments of what you want future episodes to be about. Yeah, I think next week my brother will be on the podcast talking about the TF2 market or something. I don't know. So there's all that. Yes, thanks for listening. And last week I was gonna make an outro song, but I realized I don't know how to write piano music.